What do you think? I probably only have statistics from the US where the financial crisis has a huge impact, so people are holding on to their jobs and they might say, yes, I'm satisfied, but on the other hand, they also have to pay the rent, the mortgage, the car. So, there's always two ways to look at things. Yes, we need to pay, we need to eat, and we need to pay for our family. So some people need to have a job. Not everybody can just, go and travel and enjoy life. So we want to make sure that when we talk about engagement, that we have people who are motivated to come every day to work. We all know sometimes we have a bad day, but we're still motivated. And initially, all employees, all people, they come into work to do good things. They don't come into work and say, today I will only make mistakes. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody saying that. So it's about the motivation of the employees. It's about fostering and empowering teamwork. So you need to make sure the team is glued together, and that's the role of the leader who can certainly foster and empower teamwork. And there's little things, right? Maybe on a Friday you bring in a round of coffee, or you go out and have an ice cream together. It doesn't need much to motivate the team. What is very important these days, especially with millennials, is to include them in the decision-making process. Maybe, let's say 20, 25 years ago, it was a lot about hierarchies. CEO, chairman, they were always right. And these days, the younger generation, they say, I don't know what's happening. Why can't I know? I have an idea too. And listen to them, it's like children. They might have a good idea. It might not be possible to implement it, but at least listen to it and keep them in the decision-making process. What I've learned with my coaching is that some people don't know too much about social media. So clever leaders have invited their younger generation, and they make a presentation of what they know about Instagram, Pinterest, all those web that I even don't know all about. So they can come in and say, I was reading a blog. So they do the research for you. But don't underestimate, include the younger generation in the decision-making process. What are the main drivers? Okay. The main driver is you, right? So if you come into your office and you just look at your computer and you tell your employees, I have an open door, well, just looking at the computer to me is not an open door. And also, what I have learned, at one point I had an office and I was sitting there, and an afternoon I was walking around the team. I got so much more done, like, how are you, what's happening? Yeah, let me take a note. Take a pen and a notepad with you and talk to the people, ask questions, and the people love to see you. Sometimes I know in human resources, I was the international manager for Nestle. They call the human resources the complaint department, and it's a little harder to make friends, but if you want to be seen, you need to be seen. If you don't interact with the people, you're not a role model to me, right? So open door means open door, and sometimes when somebody comes and says, excuse me, can I talk to you? And say, I'm sorry, I don't have time, I'm working on a presentation. Maybe that employee, there's something in their career, they're not happy, they want to talk to you, and they have been waiting, preparing themselves for 2 weeks. And they come and say, I don't have time, and they're like, okay. So you might even lose people because you say, I don't have time for you. So it's very important to make the time. I would assume none of us here are brain surgeons, so we have work, like where people are dining on the table. So there's always time to listen to a person. It's all about the listening. And especially when we talk about the coaching is an art. It's an art of listening. And when you don't do that, you know the reason. That's an excellent question. Okay, thank you. I hope you have knocked the door. And some people even, again, Thomas Friedels, I think he's a fantastic person. I was listening to his commencement speech at the Stanford University, and he said, I'm sitting with everybody on the table. Everybody has their laptop. I want to know what's happening. I want to know what's happening with my team. I know those open floor offices are not always the easiest, but let's try to mingle with the people or have knowledge with your team. How many times do I find out people eat at the desk? I think that's the worst that can happen in the US. I know that Latin culture is much better, and I truly appreciate it. People have worked with the boss for 2 years, they never went to lunch together. How sad is that? You always have time to eat. Make the time. You can talk business. Why not, right? But then you get to know the person on a more personal level, and it's also easier to talk to them. What's happening? What can you find out about you as a person? It's all about human, and I created a little acronym with HOPE. It's about the human approach, it's about the organization, it's about planning, and then the E is about the execution, the implementation. So it's all about that human element. I don't know if you have seen the movie with George Clooney, where he goes as a new professional and he just hires people. So we don't want to create that, right? So we want to make sure we get to know the people, we talk to them, and we also laugh at them. And nobody is perfect. I think that's the most important point that we have to look at. What I also want to talk about when we talk about satisfaction is people can be satisfied. They come to work, they work from 9 to 5, they're fine with their job. This is a job for them, right? They go in, they do the work, they do excellent work, but they're not really engaged. And we need those people too. Sometimes I call the people who work in the bank who do like repetitive work. They might like that job because they have kids at home, they go to school at night, so they're satisfied with what they have at the moment. People who are engaged are focusing more on their career. So it's a difference between having a career where you move up the ladder versus just having a job. I do my job well. And if you ask them, probably they're satisfied. So these are when we talk about the type A personalities, maybe there's a type CD personality. So we all need them in a mix. And we need to have that diversity and the cultural mix in an organization. Any other questions? So now, before I was focusing a little more on the employee, but now I'm focusing on the organization. So what are the positives when you think about when people are engaged for the organization? So it's about retention. People are more loyal to the organization. You can have more productivity. And it's also about motivation. People love to work. Who wouldn't want to work for Apple, Google, right? But these companies we have the ping pong tables, we have the massage, we still have to do the work, but if and when the organization can foster such an environment, certainly more people want to work for them. At the end of the day, we still have to work, but if you can offer something different, something special to the employees, I think that's what we want. And then the employee, we touched upon that a little bit. So your employees are the brand ambassadors for you, so they want to be emotionally connected with the brand. And especially in the social media times that we live in, it's very important that we have everybody focusing on the brand. They tweet about it, they put it on Facebook, so that we can also learn from the employees when you do research about the product. Employees like, everybody likes to talk about innovation, being innovative. Again, if you work for Apple or Google, people are, wow, I'm working for a very cool organization. If you're a forward-thinking organization, being proactive, that's what people want. So now we're going to shift a little bit, and this is my mountain in Switzerland. And I was teaching a class at New York University, and also I've been running marathons. I'm a triathlete. I completed an Ironman last year, so it's a little crazy. But I personally have learned a lot about what to do in sports. It's about that vision. It's about that very good training plan. You follow the training plan, and then you are successful. So that's why I wanted to write a book about professional coaching using sports strategies.
Susanne,
yes.
I have a question from an online participant.
Oh, sure.
Jorge online asks, what can we do so that people don't eat at their workspaces?
What can we do that people don't eat at the workspaces? That's a very good question. I've been eating at my workspace too, unfortunately, living in the US. As a leader, what I would recommend is having lunch meetings so people get away from their desks. And what we also could learn from Steve Jobs, he invited people to walk with him, so they have to walk. And now that we're talking about the coaching using the sports strategy, moving is a big theme, right? So why not try to have a meeting that you are moving and go to a restaurant. If you, let's say you work for a company, this is a Nestle water brand, go and visit a store where they have your brand, and then go out for eat. Even if you have 15 minutes, grab a sandwich, eat very fast. I think that's what people listen from the desk. And also the hygiene factor, maybe that's something I read once in a blog, that sometimes the desks are very dirty from eating at your desk. So as a human professional,